Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. This is your Friday, November 18th, Big Ten preview, review as we get ready for the weekend. If you're not looking at the calendar, 12 days left in this month, 6 days before Thanksgiving, Christmas lights, Christmas trees, Mariah Carey. I mean, the songs, everything is there. 'Tis the season. And I know this is Big Ten. And what's really, really fun about this time of year, obviously, is last week, myself and Riley broke down the Big Ten college football slate, but we also had some basketball game of the week. And we'll be interested to see what he has on the basketball side as well. And at 4 o'clock, I'll probably now 3:30, gonna do our closing bell. Myself and Riley will get you ready for the weekend. Huge basketballs, college basketball slate, some real good games. Obviously some NBA. There's 2 college football games as well, and then our weekly trip with Mr. Lucky in LA, talking NFL, talking circa millions. I know offhand wasn't a great night for our buddy here, Mr. Southside. Last night I did bring this up, and listen, anyone that's watching and listening that pays attention, that's on gambling Twitter, and oh my God, gambling Twitter is going to die, blow up. I guess we're going to have to move on to something else, and it's probably just a ploy because I woke up this morning and Twitter was still there, and I didn't get any of those free boob shots or whatever, everything else the women were throwing out. Hey guys, my DM's open. Feel free here. But tough game in the NFL. When everyone's talking one side, I know it's hard to go to the window and play the other side because it's just how we're wired. But I didn't hear one person say the Titans weren't going to cover or never mind win the game. I didn't find one. Yet they had covered 7 straight games going into Lambeau Field. And if you go back this season, and Lambeau Field goes back to 6 weeks ago when the Patriots took them to overtime and should have beat them there. And then the Jets come in 2 weeks later and do beat them there. So that Lambeau leap and that Lambeau edge just isn't there. But I don't do it any justice. And again, I know this is Big Ten, but I probably feel that he might want to get just a couple minutes off of his chest before today in the closing bell. So let's bring him on, the one and only Mr. Southside Riley himself, Riley Magnuson. What is up, champ?
What is up, my friend? Happy Friday morning. I came to the show excited, and you just sucked all of my excitement for Big Ten football and basketball out of me right there. So I appreciate that. No, I'm kidding. I am excited for today's action all around the sports slate on top of Big Ten. But yeah, it was obviously I was wrong about my pack last night. Well, he had some, as far as the important points of the game, I think what was going to win the game for either team, I think I was fairly okay on, and I guess I was obviously just wrong about the Packers having some success there. So yeah, it's an ugly situation. I think it really shined a light on what a physical, hard-nosed team is up against a team that you might consider fairly soft, and on top of an ugly fourth quarter from Rodgers, who was fine throughout the rest of the game, but a couple ugly misses might have made it a little interesting. I've got some gigantic, and a lot of Packers fans have gigantic issues with our defensive scheming and defensive coordinator. And 3rd and 3, playing 12 yards off of these receivers when we've got one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the damn NFL. It's been a theme all season long. I mean, in this one, you just didn't have that one single stud to post 150 yards like CeeDee Lamb did or whatever it was last week. But when you look, at the defensive scheming game to game, it's kind of criminal how we're using Jair Alexander having paid however much money we did for him. So that's honestly my biggest frustration. Rodgers, obviously, I think he finally took some decent accountability for some of those ugly throws. I didn't watch much of the press conferences afterwards, but we're moving on, hoping to. I'll always be fairly optimistic, but that was like you said yesterday. It was a must win, and I agreed with you. And because it wouldn't surprise me if they can figure out a way to knock off the Eagles, but then lose a couple other games down the road. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Again, I think it's a team that can beat anybody and can lose to anybody, honestly, on any given week. So I'm happy to move on from that. We can talk about it a little more when we talk some NFL with Mr. Lucky, I'm sure. But I was. Had a couple nice winners. I took a tiny little sprinkle on Christian Watson to score 2 touchdowns. So as far as that one saved my my bankroll a little bit there. So I'm feeling decent about that. The kid with a couple nice plays. So a lot of us are really excited about that, and rightfully so. 5 touchdowns in about 5 quarters or whatever it was. So I'm ready to move on. Like I said, we've got a hell of a college basketball slate, a hell of a Big Ten basketball slate. Well, I've got one in front of me right now, Penn State, Virginia Tech. But if you want to, we can touch on that a little more. Otherwise, I'm ready to rock and roll, my friend.
You decide. You're the boss. You're the man in charge. Do you want to go into the Big Ten football slate to start, and then we end with the Big Ten baskets, or do you want to start with the baskets? It's up to you.
Let's go. Let's get the college football going first. We've got not anything crazy going on in for the football slate. A couple big games as far as the Big Ten West is concerned. Iowa and Minnesota. We talked about. I still have tried to make sense of it, Jeff. I still don't know who really controls their destiny in the Big Ten. If you're assuming Illinois loses, then I think Iowa has the clearest path, or at least controlling their destiny, I should say. I wouldn't make them the favorite spot with a couple tough games here, but I think they control their destiny the most, assuming Illinois loses to Michigan here. Which I assume Michigan or Illinois is going to lose, but that's kind of their Super Bowl. So I am ready. Let's dive into the Big Ten football slate here. Let me switch over here. We'll start right there. Illinois and Michigan, 17.5-point spread, favored Michigan in the Big House. I think this is a big. No, sorry, not the big noon game. It is 11 a.m. noon kickoff. I think it's on ABC, so it's not technically the big noon kickoff, whatever you want to call it. But from what I understand, it's going to be pretty damn cold here in Michigan, and a lot of these Big Ten games, obviously, now in the Midwest in the 30s, 20s in some of these spots. And like I said, this kind of is, again, I'm not saying Illinois is going to win this game, but would you agree that this is kind of after maybe you would say last week should have been their Super Bowl? I didn't seem like they treated it as such, so this kind of becomes their Super Bowl. Would you agree with that at least here?
100%. And I just do a quick little trip down all social medias. And then, of course, the Buffalo Cleveland NFL game took precedent with Snowmageddon, 6 feet. They moved that. Now all the other so-called experts are jumping into the Big Ten, and they're bringing up the weather charts like they're meteorologists here. And it's kind of comical. The biggest thing about Michigan, Illinois, in my eyes, is next week. So now does Harbaugh get these guys razor focused? Because if you go back to last week, they were just playing cat and mouse not to get hurt. They didn't step on Nebraska's throat. They were just methodically just hand left, hand right. We're not going to make any mistakes. There's no way in holy hell Nebraska can beat us. And I think if they take that approach to Illinois, knowing Ohio State's next week, they're in trouble.
I agree. I don't want to sit here and predict an Illinois win, and I'm definitely not, because I do trust Harbaugh a little more than to come a little more, a little more firepower into this game. But I give Illinois a puncher's chance in this game, honestly. And the one thing that's interesting to me, and honestly I'm interested in the total in this one, this is the lowest total that Michigan has had, a game total, I should say, that Michigan has had the entire season. I think that Iowa game 42 was the other one. You could say, like you had, Iowa should have scored some more points. But again, I like that you mentioned it like that. It's going to be cold in the Big Ten, but it's not. As far as I can see, there's not any like giant concerns as far as a blizzard, snowstorms, or anything along those lines. It's going to be cold, Big Ten weather, but it's not going to look like Northwestern Ohio State did a couple weeks ago, where it's 25-mile-an-hour winds and misty rain. It's not looking like that, as far as I'm understanding here. So. I don't know. I'm interested. As far as the Illinois Super Bowl aspect of it, I think that means Their defense is going to play a lot better. It wasn't you know what? It was in the first half against Purdue last week. It was pretty damn good. Purdue's defense just kept getting forcing 3 and outs, and so Illinois' defense, just ran out of steam. And after a good 20 minutes of play in the first half, there, they finally wore down, and Purdue was able to score a little bit on them. So if Illinois can move the ball a little bit here and get some first downs and keep their defense from getting gassed, I like Illinois' defense to have a better game than people are giving them credit for here. So I'm kind of interested in the under here in this one, as far as 41.5 under here.
See, so the Bible here has initial opening number 44 and a 16 and a hook. Okay. Obviously now the number's down to 41.5 in most spots. I'm going to use that as a consensus. I do see a couple 42s. I do see a 41 at our friends at South Point. So basic math. I don't have the numbers here in front of me. I lean on you. 27, 28, 10 is 17, 8, that's 38. So what'd they give you? They give you the initial 30, 13. That's the initial. So did they give you, here's the telling tale. Did they give you an Illinois team total of 10 and a hook?
I usually have more options whenever it's Illinois games because of their laws, and maybe it's because I'm in Illinois. I see it on the action app here. They're saying 29.5 on DraftKings for Michigan at -130 to the over, and 12.5 for Illinois -115 to the over.
So they're baiting you to Illinois to get to 13, and obviously Michigan to get to 30 or 31.
Right.
I have to believe in what my eyes, and the eyes on college football and team totals has been phenomenal of late. Yeah. We had a nice 4-0 week last week on Saturday. As much as the cold and everyone's leaning towards us, I don't know if you're going to get a Michigan sloppy game. I'm worried. And we have not had the train wreck yet between a Michigan or Ohio State where one of these guys gets picked off. And now it's like bedlam because, oh, my God, I'm not getting to the big dance. What the hell's going to happen now?
And honestly, Illinois in the past, historically, they've done it to Ohio State a couple times. I go back to 2007, the one other good year before this one in my lifetime in Illinois football. I think Ohio State ended up, I can't remember if they ended up going to the championship or whatever they ended up doing. But Illinois went into Ohio State and knocked off Ohio State as the number 1 team in the country. So again, I give Illinois a puncher's chance in this one. I'm certainly not laying the 17.5. I'm interested in Illinois plus the 17.5, but I think Illinois' defense is going to have a nice game here. And again, maybe Illinois' offense and Michigan's defense kind of, does what Michigan's defense does what it did to Nebraska. But I don't know. I think Illinois is going to be this is their Super Bowl. If they that's the thing. As far as the Big Ten West picture, everyone I saw this giant chart and it was assuming Illinois loses. And then it's all this other stuff. And again, Illinois can still, knock off Michigan and pull off a giant upset. I wouldn't bet on it, but I give them more of a puncher's chance here than people are giving them for sure.
I 100% I'm behind you on it. 100%.
All right. Let's see. The next one up, going to same state, Indiana and Michigan State. Michigan State 5-5, need 1 win to get a bowl shot here. They've got Penn State next week, so this is a big one, obviously, for them if they're trying to do that. Indiana, 3-7. I'm not sure what the motivation for them is going to be, if I'm being totally honest with you, but I'm staying far away from this one. Looking at Indiana, their defense isn't very good, but again, I don't know that this Michigan State offense is the offense to pour 30, 40 points. Maybe they do, but I'm just looking through Indiana's season here. They've gotten blown out by Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Cincinnati. And then I think everywhere else, it's either they've got 3 wins, and then all the other losses, the 3 losses are 2 scores or less, 2 possessions or less here. So, maybe Michigan State gets it by 2 touchdowns. I don't know, but I'm not rushing to the window with Indiana, but I think Indiana can make this more of a game than the eye test might make you think here in this one. What about you? If you lean the other way, please let me know. I'm not crazy over the moon with this one.
Well, I'm starting to see a resurgence in this Michigan State team.
Yeah.
Okay. And a team that had a great run last year, a team that was, correct me if I'm wrong, like number 11, and they went into Washington and got spanked, and then that's where they started to crumble, and it looked like their season was over. Well, they've all of a sudden resurged back to normal. My eyes tell me it's an inflated line. I don't think they should have been. The actual number here is 11.5 for the 47. It's now 47 across the board. There are some 47.5s. It's down to 10. So I think people believe what I believe. The number's inflated, but I think Michigan State offensively is starting to get it. You want to win this one, and then the Penn State's the cherry on top, like UConn. God bless Jim Mora. They beat Liberty 14.5 point underdogs last week. They get to 6. They're 6-5. They're bowl eligible. There's talks, and if this happens, I think I'll be there. I'll freeze my ass up. But there's talks of them at Fenway Park against Syracuse, and
that would be nice.
That would be a good fun bowl game. But here, interested to what you see in the Michigan State team total. That's what I'm interested in.
Let's see, 40. I was surprised that the game total was as high as it was. It honestly makes me think Michigan State's offense is going to have. This Indiana defense isn't good. It was really just these explosive teams have really destroyed them. But I'm seeing 27.5 for Michigan State, minus 20 to the over, and then Indiana 19.5.
All right. So Indiana's going to end up with 17. Does Michigan State end up 27, 28, 30, or 31? So none of those are go numbers, unlike my hats off to stop the bleeding yesterday. We had the Tulane team total over 34 and a hook, and we got it on the first drive, the second half there where they put up 50. So no go numbers there. I think the number's inflated. I think Indiana's going to be able to score. I think Michigan State will win the game. Wouldn't be shocked if this lands on 7 on a backdoor cover.
No, and I am not playing this because, and honestly, my biggest hesitance is not knowing what Indiana's motivation is. They're 3-7. If they are coming out motivated so I guess if I'm forced to make a play out of this one, I think, like you said, I think Indiana can score, and I would, be willing to take them to get at least 20-21. But they might not. They might have phoned it in and said, you know what, we're 3-7. Let's just get into Michigan State and get it the hell out, and let's get the season over with. I don't know. So that's what's keeping me out of it the most here for sure. But if you had to force me, I would. I think Indiana should be able to score because their offense has scored, to some degree this season up against some of these mediocre defenses here. So moving on to the next one, I don't have too much to mention on it other than Purdue is in my opinion, unless Iowa wins these last 2 games, which they very well could. They could also lose their last 2 games. Purdue's got the best shot, I think, to take the Big Ten West here with Northwestern and Indiana these next 2 weeks. But 18.5. Let's see. I think, again, another cold game, but no crazy weather as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. I would imagine Purdue should be able to put up points and points and points on Northwestern, but I'm going to stay away from anything here. But, I'd be interested in Purdue. Let me double check the points here. 31.5. I don't know. 31.5 to the over would be what I'm interested in. This Northwestern defense has been brutal. It's not going to be disgusting weather, I don't think. So that would mean I'm going to go some confidence in Purdue with knowing that they've got not controlling their own destiny, but probably at least telling themselves that they're controlling their own destiny, I think, here in the Big Ten West.
48 with a 17.5. Usually at a 17.5, the number's going to go the other way, but it's gone to 18.5. The total has gone from 48 to 44.5. And I've stayed away from Purdue team totals because whenever I dive in on them, they end up kicking field goals. When I just watch them from the outside looking in, they scored touchdowns. 31.5, if that's your number, that is a go number. So I'll lean with you that Purdue gets over the 31.5.
Yep, and this one's at Purdue. If this is another one, if it was at Northwestern on the 11 a.m. kickoff, maybe there'd be a little bit of a snooze fest. But no, it's in Purdue. They're going to be motivated. The crowd's going to be rolling. They need 2 wins to get the Big Ten West potentially here. So let's see. Wisconsin at Nebraska. Nebraska 3-7. Wisconsin 5-5. Lost to Iowa. Another team, though, that had some type of a change. Tough matchup with Iowa. Iowa's defense really took it to Wisconsin there. I lean towards Wisconsin, but, there's always when you give them a tough defense, then that offense can be ugly, ugly, ugly. Would you feel confident in anything in this spot here? This is a kind of an interesting matchup. Actually, the one question that I was going to bring to you, Nebraska, the last 3 games, 9 points, 13 points, 3 points, yet you're giving them a 15.5 team total. Is that the play right there? over 15.5, or is that a big fat miss as far as the team total line there?
I'm trying to find it here for me, and again, my eyes are deceiving me here. Why can't I find Wisconsin, Nebraska here? La 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 la. You wouldn't happen to have a rotation number, would you,
No, I don't. I don't have those on this app here.
on that app? What time's the game start?
This is a early game, 11 a.m. 12 my time, 12 years.
All right, so let's look up top here. La 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 la. Wisconsin, Nebraska. Wisconsin, Nebraska. They're hiding it on me because they know I'm pissed off at Nebraska. That's why. Why would there it is? Of course, it's way down here. Let me check the info here. Running back Malusi doubtful. Nebraska quarterback probable, and Purdy is out for the Wisconsin quarterback. A 12.5, 40 was the number. I'm seeing a 9.5 in one spot. It's basically a consensus of 10 and 39.5. You're spot on with the low score in the Nebraska. Would you say their team total was?
I saw 15.5 on DraftKings.
Okay, so they're baiting you that they get to 17.
Yeah.
Okay, if I saw 17.5 and that's what you told me, I'd say go over. I'd stay far, far away because they'll probably get stuck on 14. Or here's even a better one, that they're down big enough where they got to go for 2 and they get to 16, or they sit there on 13 or 14. So it's just comical. We keep going back to Martinez at Kansas State. He couldn't make it work at Nebraska, but he looks like a Heisman Trophy winner at Kansas State. So disappointed on what's going on here. And Wisconsin, I go with them. They're nowhere to be found. I go against them. They got Ron Dane in the backfield running for 300 yards. I mean, I can't beat them. So I'm staying far, far, far away.
100%. Next week it'll be interesting if Wisconsin wins. They get I don't know if it's home or away. They get Minnesota. Still got an outside chance if some pure chaos happens in the Big Ten West this week, which always could happen. They've still got an outside chance of the Big Ten West title somehow, some way. But I won't be betting on that. But moving on to Ohio State at Maryland, another the biggest line here in the Big Ten, 27.5 Ohio State, 63.5 on the total. Team total for Ohio State, Jeff, 45.5. They're really making you work for it as far as this one. I will say, though, 7 matchups between these two teams since 2014 when Maryland joined the Big Ten. All 7 have gone to the over, and the least amount of points that Ohio State has scored in these matchups is 49. They've scored 60 at least 4 of the 7 times against Maryland here. And it's going to be a little warm. This one's going to be in the 40s, I think, a little bit warmer than the rest of the Big Ten as far as I know. So, I don't know. I'm interested in maybe a little because Maryland, 6-4, they still they've kind of these last 2 weeks have been ugly for them. They had a couple of wins against Indiana and Northwestern. Nothing, not really impressive there, but offensively, fine. Now 10-0 points. I'd be interested in them bouncing back a little bit offensively. I think defensively, I think Ohio State's going to be flying up and down the field. I don't think they will have any answer. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm kind of interested in this game being the 8th straight over between these two teams. I'm not maybe a little pizza and beer money entertainment on the over in this one for me. I don't know. Ohio State team total 45.5. Maybe you take that, but I could see this one going 51-21 or something like that, and it still goes over. What about you? Am I crazy with the full game over on this one?
I think what's Ohio State's record right now?
10-0.
10-0. Okay, so they're 8-2 to the team total over. They lost opening game 1 to Notre Dame, and then they had a hiccup a couple weeks ago. Again, it's just an auto bet. Would you say it's at 45 and a hook?
That's what let me double check that's still where it's at here. Yep, 45.5 minus 120 to the over.
Yeah, again, now the only downside that I have, again, is the fact that they're playing Michigan next week, which is the game of all games here. Do they just get in and get out? This Maryland team, even though they're 6-4, have shown flashes of inept offense at the wrong times.
Yeah.
When they match up against a team that wants to score early and often, they're nowhere to be found here. So my take on the game very simply is just keep auto betting the team total. I think they'll try to be surgical early, maybe get to that 31, 34 at halftime, get a nice third quarter, and then rest everyone and get ready for the big dance next week. So that would be my play there.
Yep. No, definitely. Looking ahead to Michigan is definitely that's the game here. So I'm with you on that one. Let's see. Two more for football. Penn State and Rutgers. Penn State 8-2. They've got they got Rutgers this week, Michigan State next week. This is at Rutgers here. 19-point spread. I don't have anything crazy with this one. The only thing that I'd say is maybe it happens again. Rutgers has held Penn State under 30 points in the last 4 of these matchups, the last 4 seasons. Kind of a similar Rutgers. I don't know. I see this game kind of similar to the last 4, honestly. I'm not going to be betting on it, but if you ask me, maybe let's see, where are we at here? 31.5. I guess they're kind of baiting you to take the under on Penn State anyways, but I don't know. Gun to my head, I could see Rutgers having a little defensive success and keeping it at a 28-7 game or something like that. I'm not sure, though.
No, and Penn State's been pretty good, especially on team totals on the road. Again, if they gave you 30.5, if they gave you 30, 29.5, they're baiting you to go over. Again, great eyes, great analysis. When they give you that 31.5, they're baiting you to come the under. Hey, they're going to get 31. They're going to get 30. If I was to dive into that game again, I'd take Penn State and their team total over the 31.5. Like we talked about a few games ago. What was that game that we talked about at 31.5?
They put 45 on Indiana, so it might have been that one.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think that's the go number. Again, kind of Penn State team where I don't want to say I feel bad for them. They played a great game, great year. The game that was set up for them, obviously, to make their season was at Michigan, and it was a great first half, and that was it. And I'm drawing a blank. Who was their other loss to?
They lost to Ohio State and Michigan.
Michigan, okay. Okay, that's right. The Ohio State game. How quick I forget that.
Yeah.
I think they sheep from here on out. They get a great bowl game, a good year. They end up 11-2, and they get ready for next year. So.
Yep, 100%. I mean, they're probably hoping that Michigan finds a way into the CFP, and they're the team that's going to the Rose Bowl. I'm not saying that's happening, but that's probably what they're optimistically thinking, right? And if I don't know, would they have I'm drawing a blank on how it works. Yeah, it changes at half the time, but maybe they get a New Year's Six Bowl, even if it's not the Rose Bowl. I'm not sure if they win out and go 10-2. It's definitely possible there. So, that's what their site's going to be on for sure there. So, last one is pretty huge for the Big Ten West, though. Iowa and Minnesota. Minnesota minus 2.5. The game total is at 32. It was interesting to me. So let me double check here. I don't know if you have any a way of checking your data. I saw on DraftKings 73% of the bets and money is on the over 32 in this one. And in my thoughts, I've been seeing everyone talking about how low this game total is, how much of an under game it is. So I was surprised to see all of that amount of money, bets and money, all on the over. So I'm not sure if there's anything to make out of that. But Iowa, let's see, Iowa's defense, I could absolutely see having a huge day against Minnesota. I mean, the total is essentially, and the team total is essentially telling you it's the first one to 17 here. And I could see Iowa's defense having a ton of success here against Minnesota's offense. Minnesota has shown flashes and been really good against certain teams. Some of these defenses that they face, though, have given them a ton of trouble. And if Iowa plays the same type of game that they played last week, it'll be another, 10-point defensive performance from them. The flip side is Minnesota could also make Iowa's offense look like Iowa's ugly offense. So I'm not running to the window, but I could see this one staying under that 32. And I was worried that there was going to be the 80% or 70% of bets on the under 32, but I don't know. I might be interested in this one being a 14-13 stink fester, or maybe a defensive battle, just a grimy defensive battle, your classic ugly Big Ten West Big Ten West game, Big Ten game, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. Was that interesting to you to see that amount of bets and money on the over though, and the 32 there?
No, I mean, a low number like that, they're going to flock to it unless there's a blizzard or 50-mile-an-hour winds or something. So this will be the telltale sign here. When you look at the team totals and it's a 2.5, here's your telltale sign. Did they give you Minnesota 17.5? Did they give you Iowa 14.5? Did they get cute that way?
I'm going to double check another one here. I see 16.5 for Minnesota on DraftKings, minus 130 to the over, 16.5, and then Iowa 15.5, minus 115 to the over.
Yeah, so they're playing cat and mouse games. To me, what you just told me is Minnesota, they want you to think that they're going to get to 17. And the goal number would have been 17.5. That would have been the goal number there. And so they don't know what to do with Iowa. This is going to be 15-14. Like you said, first one to 17 wins. And that's where it is. For me personally, I'll stay far, far away because, again, both these teams have kicked us in the you-know-where. And when you go on them, they're nowhere to be found. I mean, if you want the value play, is to take Minnesota on the money line. They're supposed to win this damn game. They're supposed to.
They're supposed to. I honestly, I'm not. Again, not value. And my heart honestly is saying I think Iowa's defense makes Minnesota's offense looks ugly. But I'm with you. The value is on Minnesota for sure at home to win this game. But I don't know. Again, this could be really ugly. It could be a 10-7, 7-6 type of game. Who knows? But I mean. I don't know. Iowa again. Iowa is the only one that controls their destiny the most, assuming Illinois loses to Michigan. So I don't know. We'll see. I could see this one staying under the 32 though. I might take a little pizza and beer money on some under 32 action for some grimy action there.
No, I have no problem with that whatsoever. And listen, when you're betting unders, especially low totals like this, the pick sixes come into play. Number one, number two. In the red zone, as long as they're kicking field goals, listen, they can kick them till the kingdom come. But when they're scoring touchdowns in the red zones on an under over a 32, it's one of these just turn the channel and move on.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, definitely. So that is it for the football slate, my friend. We will move to the basketball Big Ten slate here. Really nice Big Ten slate of basketball today. Like I said, Penn State, Virginia Tech right now. Virginia Tech was up 20-6. I think it's now 41-32. So Penn State trying to make a little bit of a comeback there. Did you have any? Well, I think that was. It looked like it started minus 1.5. Then it went to 3.5 for game time. Did you have any thoughts on that one pregame?
I didn't initially. I was surprised with the move. If you wanted me to be 100%, I'm trying to get through. Go ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say I took a little piece of the movement and grabbed Penn State plus 3.5 when it moved because I kind of trusted what the opener was telling you there and I like that they're coming back. I was a little worried when it was 20-6, but they're a team that's slow tempo, but I don't know. I saw it was I don't know if they're 3-point percentage number one team or 3-pointers made in the country number one right now. So they're a team that can come back from a deficit for sure. So. Still interested in there, and maybe you take a live swing if you're looking to scratch an itch right now on some live college basketball throughout the day here. But, it looks like 32-42. Let's see. The next one up, 4 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock your time, closer to your neck of the woods and my neck of the woods. Temple and Rutgers, they are playing somewhere in Connecticut, I know. 5-point favorite for Rutgers there. Temple, 101 ranked team on KenPom. Rutgers, 40. Temple 1-2 so far. They lost to Vandy the other day. Rutgers 3-0. They're playing all right. Haven't really played anybody though. Did you have any thoughts on that one? Were you surprised to see it that close? I don't know. I don't have much of a feel of Rutgers this season. They were obviously a fun darling last year. So I don't know. I'm wondering if people are going to be flocking to Rutgers here in the afternoon.
Well, it's funny because I talked about it this week is the fact that, Temple gets picked off by Vandy as a favorite. Now, I think Temple as a dog does intrigue me on a neutral court here at KenPom right now. He's got Rutgers 70-64. I'm just going to pull this up right here. Temple loses to Wagner, shocks the world with Villanova, and then loses to Vandy in OT. And you got a Rutgers team here now that 3-0, Columbia, Sacred Heart, UMass Lowell. So really hasn't played anyone here.
Right.
The numbers I have are 5.5 with a 133. It's down to a 131 and a 5. Maybe they're baiting us to take the points here with Temple. Because I think that's a little too high. That's my take on it.
Yeah. This one was a hard stay away for me. It was interesting what your thoughts were. I see on DraftKings Tracker, they've got 70% of the bets on Rutgers spread, but the majority of the money on Temple, 56% of the spread on Temple there. So the money there. So I'm staying far away from that one. That one feels like it could be a last foul, get you over the 5 or the opposite way. Who knows? So I'm gonna stay away from that one. The rest of the slate, though, in the Big Ten, pretty solid. One other kind of stinker, but Indiana Xavier. Indiana, number 12 team in the country, number 10 on KenPom. 30, I think this one is at Rutgers as opposed to a neutral court here. 36th ranked team on KenPom, Xavier. Both these teams undefeated so far. I don't know. Are we thinking it's the Fade the Public Friday spot with a team with a big fat number next to their name for the average public here? I'm seeing on DraftKings 74% of the bets, 81% of the money on Indiana there. And I told you this Indiana team is good. They might be the best team in the Big Ten, but you and I were as you like to joke, and Isaiah Thomas isn't on this team, or Victor Oladipo ain't on this team. It's a good team, but I don't know. People are putting them a little higher than I would. Would it surprise me if they had a huge night and they made a statement they won? No, but I don't know. Are you interested in the Xavier spot here with the home squad Xavier here?
I'm just shaking my head here. I'm looking at this. And you know when you're a day early or a day late and it just kicks you in the you-know-what?
Yeah.
Colorado, 54-33 at halftime against A&M. And you know, the one early game on the slate, we had Colorado 80-70 charted to win the game. You got a 4.5-5 number. They jump out 13-6. And then, of course, UMass with Clark Kellogg and Coach Calipari and all these guys, just go box the wire and slap them in the ass. And then I just look up at that. Great intro to that game. It's going to be one of the better games of the night, if not the weekend. I love the dog here. I think Xavier is as live as they come. I'm hoping it gets to 3, sprinkle a little something on the money line, a little pizza and beer. Not that Indiana can't boat race this team. Don't get me wrong. But I think this Xavier team is long and strong. I love them on the defensive end again. You just slow Indiana down. Just don't get into one of those first 1 to 75 or 80 wins here. Just play your game, play your defense. Now, we'll be talking, next week sometime, and you'll be like, Isaiah Thomas did play, huh? Oladipo did play.
Yeah.
But I'm on Xavier.
I'm with you. It's definitely going to be one of my plays. I see. I don't have points bet, but I'm looking at a bunch of books, and that looks like one of the only ones that does have 3.5 now. So if that's what you got and you want Xavier, go check it out. I would love to get it to 3 though. That would be a huge movement there if you're interested in Xavier. Another good one, Villanova and Michigan State. I'm interested to watch this game. This one is still kind of tough. You got Michigan State taking Gonzaga down to the wire on a cruise ship, I'm sorry, that's disrespectful. I didn't mean that. On a military ship. I didn't want it to. Not trying to. You know what I'm trying to say here. It was out on a boat. They played it outdoors. Different elements than a basketball court is my point that I'm making here. And then they take Kentucky to double overtime. Game of the year so far, probably. Kentucky, interesting defense in overtime there to allow Michigan State to tie it not once but twice. I don't know, 6.5. We obviously have talked about Michigan State gauntlet of a schedule, and typically they come out a little rustier out of the gates. They've been solid so far. I just don't know what to make of Villanova, so I would lean towards Villanova in the dog spot here, but I just don't know enough about Villanova yet. Obviously, transition period for them. They are 2-1 so far. Lost to Temple, won a couple of lesser games against LaSalle, and I'm not even sure who that is. Delaware State, that's who that is. I don't know. Any thoughts from you on this one? Is this a good spot to take Villanova, or you're staying far away from it as well?
No, and again, here I'm going to just say this. It was so early in the college basketball season, and anyone watching and listening wants to take a note on November 18th. Please do. We talk about Friday, Fade the Public Friday, payday, and all that. And here's the other thing. When these games are on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, Fox, The whole world's talking about him, okay? And I know you guys love to watch your games because you got interest, whether it's pizza and beer money, whether it's a half a unit, full unit, whatever it is. For me, I am so far past that. I'm looking to tomorrow. I'm already looking to Sunday. I'll follow him. I'll have background music. Listen, I'm the guy with Sports Mix. I got 8 games going on. Am I watching them? No, I'm listening, but I'm not watching them.
Right.
Okay. So what does Michigan State have in common when they played Gonzaga and they played Kentucky? Well, I'll answer the question for you. They were dogs. They were dogs. They were hunting. They were hunting. Now they're hunted. Now life without Jay Wright is going to be a long season for this Villanova team. For me, the only play would be obviously is to take the points and pray if you had to go down this lane. Now, Michigan State, again, with Mateen Cleaves, Magic Johnson, and everyone else there, they've looked phenomenal. They've looked fabulous. They had Gonzaga, who, got spanked. Gonzaga could have had 2 losses there after what Texas and Michigan State almost did. Again, and they were gift wrapped, not 1 but 2, as you said, inbound plays, tie game. And then beating them. I think it's Villanova or nothing. And again, I'm just saying that because now Michigan State's a favorite. That's all.
Yeah, and I've kind of taken the firm stance of I typically go against Michigan in these early stages, and they've gone against, and I haven't, I honestly haven't had much of a stake at all in the first 2, but other than this type of stake talking about it, but I might take a swing at Villanova tonight. Again, Michigan State doesn't have. They'll be, I guess, unless they lose this. Maybe I don't know what if they'll be ranked if they lose this game. But had this not been the game, they might as well have a ranking next to their name. Is what I'm trying to say. The public perception is that they are now a top 15 team, let alone a top 25 team. I imagine. So, and they might be. If they win by 20, then I'll have egg on my face in this Michigan. I'll start giving this team a lot more credit. I promise. So. Let's see. I think only one more game in the Big Ten at least here. I guess we should have closed it out with that one. This is not didn't save the best for last, but that's all right. Actually, we got one tomorrow that I don't think has a line, but I'm at least interested to talk about it. And then I have another question to pose for you as far as next week is concerned. But IPFW, Purdue Fort Wayne. Indiana, Purdue Fort Wayne at Northwestern. I believe that is an actual true home game for Northwestern there. Northwestern, 55th ranked team for KenPom. They got it done against Georgetown the other day, 75-63. Their defense has been pretty damn good so far. And then IPFW 164 on KenPom here. Total at 140.5. Is that and with Northwestern's defense being as good as it is that a little bit of a statement that this one might be going over, and to not rush to the under on that one as far as Northwestern is concerned here?
100%. The alphabet soup teams, I've had success going with them, going against them. 200 and actually 164th on KenPom. Northwestern 55. We got it at 141 right here with KenPom with a 13-point winner. I'll just say this with the eye test and the Bible over here, 140.5 with a 12.5. The number shot straight down to a flat 11s and 140.5. I do see a 139.5 also at Circa right now as we speak. For me, I think the alphabet soup finds a way to cover. I think that number of 12.5 was too high. It's at 11. Wait to go to 11.5. And I do too also agree that when you see a Northwestern with a 140, you're sitting there scratching your head like this. So if I had to play the total, I would lean over as well.
Yeah, and I got to put my foot in my mouth. There is one more game. I skipped over it because it's listed as my favorite team, so it's at the top of the slate, but it's later, so I moved around it. And this is actually the last Big Ten game of the night, and it is a very good one, and I am very excited for this one. So I'm glad that this is the best one for last year, or potentially the best one for last. UCLA neutral site game. UCLA and Illinois, 2 top 25 teams. Illinois, interesting team this year. A lot of transfer portal guys. They're number 19 for a reason. They've got a ton of talent. Interested to see how it plays out. They could either make a statement or kind of show that they've still got some growing to do, and maybe to wait on this team. So I don't have any stake other than being an Illinois fan in this one. UCLA is obviously a damn good team here. They've taken care of business against the teams that they need to. Covered 25.5, 19.5, and 21 so far. And Illinois is also taking care of business for the most part here. I think they failed to cover 30.5 and won by 30 or something like that in their opener. So I don't quite know what to make out of this one. Like I said, I'm happy to take some emotional Illinois currency into this one as far as my own fandom. But I really don't know what to expect out of this one. With like I said, it's either going to be a statement from Illinois, or you're going to see they've still got some growing to do with a lot of these guys in building some chemistry. So, any thoughts from you out of this one, Jeff?
Number 9 versus 25, neutral site at T-Mobile in Vegas. Jesus, you talk about back-to-back games. They got Baylor, Virginia first game, and then they got Indiana, Xavier. My Bible here has 3 and 146.5, and we got a 3. There's a couple 3.5s out there down to 144.5. You got the West Coast bias there with, the fact of the matter, neutral site, UCLA wagon, Illinois maybe in a little transition year, trying to figure out what they got. I think the number's pretty well spot on. I'll just go on record, gun to my head, as you like to say. I think you got a live dog here in Illinois. I do.
I was about to say, looking at if we're talking Fade the Public Friday, UCLA is and probably will continue to be more a public side, and you've got, typically whenever there's a good or a well-hyped Illinois or Chicago-based team, you're typically going to get the Chicago and Illinois markets betting on the hard, but we legally cannot bet on these games, so that's going to take a little bit of the Illinois market out of it, and you're still going to get a one-sided money split on that one. So if you're fading the public, Illinois is the side to take in this one for sure.
And just sitting there watching yesterday, we're in the holiday season, so you get all these afternoon games. You got boatloads and boatloads of games, and it's going to be like this all the way through Thanksgiving. Then once you get into December, you're going to start to get those tournament games, and the dogs were just barking so loud. And I'm just sitting here looking at some of these numbers, and in comes a dog, in comes another dog, in comes another dog. And it just, like I talked about a few minutes ago, here you got a Colorado team who loses outright as a 15-point favorite, then was a 15-point dog and beats a great Tennessee team. Yeah. And now a 5-point favorite to UMass and nowhere to be found. And then they're 20-point favorites they're 20 points ahead at halftime to A&M. So this early in the season, it's really tough to get into some of these favorites. So I think Illinois is as live as they come.
Yep, I like it a lot. And we talked about yesterday not the Michigan bounce back, but the opposite of a bounce back, letdown spot. They smoke Pitt, and then 7.5-point favorites. They get smoked by Arizona State. I'm liking what we're seeing, and I'll give some optimism or have some more optimism for Illinois. I need to pick me up after last night's game as far as my favorite teams as far as all of my favorite teams are concerned right now, Jeff. So I'd love an Illinois win out of this one.
Hey, my question is, did you get Pitt +4 or 3.5 last night?
I personally caught him at 4. I made sure to go to the right book. I caught it when one of the books had 4, the other one had 3.5. So I did catch 4 there, yeah. So I got to push.
And it kind of sad because Pitt was controlling the second half. They probably should have won the game outright. They couldn't throw it in the ocean the last 2 minutes. And, of course, you get the stupid-ass foul at the end. And thank God they only made 1 out of the 2. Oh. And then you try to – and I despise this play. You take the ball out of bounds, and then you try to throw it, 70 feet down. It always gets deflected or picked off. Just get it to a guard moving forward. Yeah. Towards half court, and then you got 1 or 2 dribbles or an outlet, then you get at least a decent shot.
Yep. I'm 100% with you on that one. So one more. There is one tomorrow. Interested to see if you have any data on what the expected line will be or any look-ahead spots for tomorrow's Big Ten game. Only one Big Ten game. Maryland and St. Louis. Actually a pretty solid game tomorrow. 44 on Ken Palm. It's Maryland, 31 for SLU. I believe it is it's also a Connecticut game, so it's a neutral site game. Any look-ahead lines or any expected lines out of that one?
Yeah, I do, and I don't think you're going to like it. I got basically per Ken Palm, St. Louis 74-72, so they're going to probably have St. Louis. My gut will tell me maybe -2, -2.5, maybe 1.5. So a coin flip, and I'm glad you brought them up. This, as you know, is my kryptonite. It don't matter. I got Maryland, and they're up 20 at half, and they lose by 10. Okay? I got Maryland, and they're losing 20-2 to start the game. It doesn't matter. Gary Williams could be coaching. Lenny Bias, God bless you, rest your soul, man. You should have been a Celtic. Could be playing. I can't pick this game with tomorrow's paper.
No, I'm with you. I was interested in see if there's any big eye pop in the expected or anything like that. I think it'll be a good one. I'm glad this. I wish there were some more games, but I'm glad this one should be good. I enjoy watching St. Louis whenever they're a very good program. So I'll say an early guess on. I'll give SLU the win, but like you said, it's a wild guess for me over here.
And since we're here, a shout out to my boys that just keep taking per Ken Palm. They got UNC Wilmington tomorrow. And let me see, per Ken Palm, they got them as a 19-point winner. They're 3-0 against the likes of Stonehill, BU, and Buffalo. Way to coach them up there, Coach Early. Way to come out of the gate strong. Listen, they got Ken Palm's got UConn at 20-9 this year, and they will not be a dog until they play at Florida on the 7th, and then they got Xavier on December 31st. Wow, they're at Xavier on New Year's Eve, so there's potentially 2 losses, and then you got to go all the way to February 11th at Creighton when there'll be a dog again. So I just, actually now their projected record is 21-8. So Ken Palm has them losing the last game at Villanova, has them losing by 1 there, has them losing by 1 to St. John's, has them losing by 3 at Creighton, and then a coin flip at Seton Hall, and a 1-point loss at Xavier. So per Ken Palm, other than all their losses are by 1 point or 2. So per Ken Palm, UConn could go undefeated this year, which and I know ain't going to happen, but it's kind of comical where they got them this year.
So they've got them favored all throughout December against a bunch of these teams too? Is that what you said?
December, 1-point loss against Florida. Actually, Okie State favored by 5. 1-point dogs to Florida. Okay. LA 90 by 19. Yeah. By 29. They got them by 7 against Butler, 14 Georgetown, 5 Villanova. They're dogs on the 31st against Xavier. Okay. They are not dogs again until January 18th by 1 at Seton Hall, and then Creighton February 11th by 3. St. John's by 1 on February 25th, and then 1 at Villanova for the last game. Yeah, so Ken Palm's absolutely in love with them. I guess Rudy Gay's back. They got the whole crew, Kemba Walker. They got them all back.
I love it. So I had one other question, and this is next week. I'm a huge fan of the Maui Invitational Tournament out in Hawaii. I've got odds, 8-team field. I think it starts on Monday. Odds if you had to pick one, so it's Arkansas, Arizona, Creighton, San Diego State, Texas Tech, Ohio State, Cincinnati, and Louisville. Arkansas plus 250, Arizona 3-1, Creighton 450, and then I can give you the other ones if you're interested. Who's if you had to make one pick on the Maui, who are you taking?
Surprising, Arkansas is the favorite, not Arizona. So right there leads me to believe that Arizona would get picked off. Creighton is loaded, absolutely loaded. They should win the Big East this year. What'd you say? They were the 3rd favorite?
Creighton is, plus 450.
And who else is in this?
San Diego State 5-1, Texas Tech 550, Ohio State plus 950, and then Cincinnati and Louisville, pretty long odds.
The Arkansas number really surprises me there. They know something. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so I think it's because they start with Louisville, so you kind of give them a win there. Texas Tech and Creighton play each other, so maybe that hurts one of those kind of guys' odds because you know what I mean? Where I guess if you're giving Creighton the win, then maybe if you're putting them, having them beat Texas Tech, then maybe you like Creighton to go all the way. And then what's San Diego State's ranked. And then Arizona plays Cincinnati. San Diego State plays Ohio State to start there.
All right, so Ken Palm's got Creighton 1-point favorites over Texas Tech. Let me see Arizona here for a second.
And I like Creighton because I think people are I think Texas Tech's a little overrated. I think they'll be fine, but they lost a little bit. No Terrence Shannon, so I don't know. I like Creighton there.
He's got Arizona 8 over Cincinnati. And let me just go to Arkansas for a second. They got him by 13. Okay, so that makes all the sense in the world, meaning this.
Yeah.
Texas Tech and Creighton is your coin flip.
Right.
Okay, that's your coin flip. Are you taking the coach or the team? The sizzle of the steak there. Right. We know Texas Tech come tournament time, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Sure.
Who did they just knock off? Didn't they just – not Beard. I know Beard's now with Texas. Texas Tech just – I thought I saw them this week. Didn't they play someone this week?
On Monday they beat Louisiana Tech, so they haven't. That's their biggest
was
win.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to honestly give you a fair shake here. You're spot on why Arkansas is the favorite.
Yeah, and I mean I think they're the highest ranked top 25 team too, which maybe if things were different as far as who they're playing, then the odds would definitely be different. But yeah, public's probably trying to see probably trying to rush to the high top 10 team, I would imagine there.
If you wanted to play some action, I think your safest play is Arizona, and you're getting 3-1 on Arizona. That's where I'd lean there.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know who like if Arkansas wins, what game do they get? I don't have that right in front of me here, but yeah, I think that's a fair assessment because Arizona's good. Arizona is really good too. So I like Creighton. I like Creighton against Texas Tech, but I could say that, and then Texas Tech beats, holds them to 55 points or something like that, right? And it's the old Texas Tech typical game. So I like the safe play there. The safest pick is Arizona. I agree with you there.
Great hour, great Big Ten hour, and again, it's 'tis the season. I'll be saying that till January 1st. It's such a fun time of year, and what I really like about this time of year is the NBA, NHL in their first month. Okay, there's so much grab ass. There's so many teams playing above their skis. The Celtics, the Bruins win again, and they allowed 1 goal. Yeah. I mean, the team is just. I'm waiting for Bobby Orr to come out and just hold the Stanley Cup up. This team is a wagon right now, and the Celtics have won 8 in a row. They're only okay. Here you go, perfect example. They're 2.5-point favorites against the Pelicans. Okay, so I'll tell anyone here still here. It's Pelicans. Go grab them. I'm waiting for the Celtics to lose. It's coming. I don't know when. Maybe by Christmas. I don't know. Maybe they'll win 20 in a row or something. But that number stinks to me to high heaven. But what do I know? But the fact of the matter is, again, you get a chance to watch the kids. That really means something. Some of them are getting paid with the nil. I get that. But these guys are trying to get seasoned for their next life in the NBA. Some are just going to school to play basketball and then get an education. Imagine that, going to college to get an education.
Imagine that.
And then the college football is winding down. So it's just a fun time of year.
Yeah, I next week, like you said, until after the first week of January. That now until then, because you got all day wall-to-wall college basketball today. My eyes keep getting distracted. Penn State's coming down to the wire with Virginia Tech here, so that's a good game, and I'm sure there'll be other good games here. And those tournaments. We talked about the Maui, the battle for Atlantis. I know is a good one. You've got Kansas and Tennessee and Wisconsin in that tournament. Then there's 1 or 2 other ones next week. So and then like you said, into December there's some. So it is a fantastic time for college football and college basketball. It's some of my favorite times of the year here, the next month and a half here.
All right, it's 1:36. I'm going to catch up with you in 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 3:30 my time, 3:45, give or take. We'll get about a half hour or 45 minutes in before Mr. Lucky. It's a huge slate. and then we'll bring Lucky in. We'll do our thing, and then we'll wrap up the closing bell. Saturday off. I'm going to really try to squeeze us in on Sunday. It's our Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll have a turkey, a ham, everything going, but then run to the office, try to get a show together, and then try to run back and put the apron back on. So we'll figure it out. But thank you. Great hour of sports.
Good stuff.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Have some fun. Go watch some college hoops. And we'll be back in a couple hours for the closing bell and Mr. Lucky. We'll see you soon.